from the West Los Angeles there, and that just doesn't happen. You're near Skirball Center or Sherman Oaks, and he's down here in Santa Monica in just a matter of minutes. And again, Desmond, maybe does he have traffic up ahead? That's why he's driving rather slowly. Kind of weird.
Yeah, a little bit, but yeah, Pat, just to get back, there really is no justice in this world. I mean, we obey, you know, every law we can, and then we have to sit in gridlock traffic, and here we have a murder suspect who just gets the most magical freeway conditions for rush hour on a Wednesday. We are eastbound on Pico right now, and coming to a major intersection. This is going to be Pico and Lincoln, so a very busy intersection. Now going into a driveway here. Let's see what happens. If this is a one-way drive-through or what, boy, it looks like it. I think this guy's going to be boxed in, guys. So things are going to get really, really tense. Let's see what happens with this murder suspect in. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I was just going to say we have to remember that this is an armed suspect. The passenger in that vehicle is armed suspect that's wanted for murder.
Well, that it almost looked like that vehicle tried to box him in. I don't know if they knew exactly what was going on, but they certainly didn't make it easy for this pickup truck to get back onto the streets from this parking lot area. But he managed to do it.
Yeah,
but
he did manage to do it. It looked like at first, like that was a one-way in and out parking, little parking area, but that was not the case. There was another entrance, so he just, you know, cut through traffic there on Pico. Now continuing back east on Pico through Santa Monica away from Lincoln.
You know, we had heard from one of our Twitter friends that had pointed out that they possibly wouldn't do a pit maneuver because of this person being armed.
Oh, well, that makes sense, right?
So, yeah, Desmond, expertise here. I mean, we have seen, if it comes down to it, of course, they will do whatever they have to do to try to get this guy to stop. But that may be a reason, especially since they're not driving so erratically at high amounts of speed, that they're staying behind this vehicle and, you know, playing this out.
Well, you think there would be extra precaution because this is a murder suspect with a weapon, so police have got to take that into account. Maybe that's the reason why they're giving a pretty big berth here.
Well, and he has had it, Desmond.
Yeah, you know, I would say, Pat, at this point, you're right. It might be incredibly risky to try to pit this guy. They do suspect that he's armed. They actually saw him reaching in and out of his waistband earlier, so obviously a real serious concern of a gun, and this is a murder suspect, so they have to take every precaution. You know, using spike strips, if they can corral this guy, that may be a better option, or they may just have to wait for this guy to stop or run out of gas. This is a gas-guzzling truck, especially being an older Dodge Ram here. These things, you know, will get maybe 10 or 11 miles to the gallon on a good day, you know, even less here as you're on surface streets, and it's also an older truck. So, you know, of course, we have no way of knowing if this guy was on a full tank of gas, if he obviously wasn't running on fumes because he's already covered quite a few miles in LA, but this may be one of those situations where they're going to have to wait for him to stop on his own volition or to run out of gas. Of course, it could turn off into a standoff situation. We've seen that happen many times, and that could happen as well. It looks like we're northbound on 20th now away from Pico. So I've been trying to listen in to LAPD talk about this. I haven't really heard anything as far as strategy about how they want to bring this to an end. And, you know, I know a lot, especially lately, LAPD has, you know, not been afraid to terminate some of these suspects, some of these pursuits, especially if it was for something like a traffic stop or something like that, or rather for a traffic violation, I should say. But considering this is a murder suspect, I would not expect that LAPD is going to abandon this chase tonight, Jeff and Pat.
No, but you know what, just moments ago when he was on, I guess that would have been Pico Boulevard, we just noticed quite a few people walking, a residential and business area, but there were a lot of people walking down the street, and that's something that they also have to take consideration of. What street are we on now?
This is getting onto a boulevard now, looks like.
Yeah, I see the American flag flying. Is it?
Olympic, we're told.
Yes. We just turned east on Olympic away from 20th Street. And yeah, you know, you do have a lot of people out here walking around, but at least, Jeff and Pat, we don't have people out here buzzing around on birds.
To my constipation, until my doctor recommended Miralax, stimulant laxative.
I know we've been talking about that a lot lately, people just flying through intersections and stuff like that. So right now, in theory, I think we just have pedestrians that we have to worry about, and cross traffic as well. This guy has been running a lot of lights, but at least he's not been balls to the wall crazy with his speeds. You know, he actually haven't really, the fastest we saw him go earlier was on Balboa when he was through the Lake Balboa area. And even then, I think he was only probably up around maybe 50 miles an hour. I haven't seen this guy really driving with the crazy speeds, but he has been blowing through lights, blowing through stop signs, not stopping for anybody, come very close to clipping quite a few vehicles. So
yeah, this is rather tame
but
compared
again,
to
at least
earlier.
not those insane speeds that we see. Sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, this is rather tame compared to earlier when he was in Encino. He went up on the sidewalk to avoid traffic. He actually clipped a car or two just to get around in some pretty heavy traffic. But I'm curious right now, Desmond, we, at one point in time on the 405, I think there were like 6 or 7 units behind this vehicle. Once again, this is a murder suspect in the passenger seat of this older pickup truck. How many units behind him now?
I could see 1, 2, 3, 4, looks like at least half a dozen or more behind him right now. Actually, even more than that. Yeah. It's possible that Santa Monica PD may have joined in on this as well, but it has been the LAPD Topanga Division that has been the primary law enforcement agency on this. As we continue eastbound on Olympic, I believe, stand by here. We've got another little cloud bank that we're trying to contend with. I know he's behind this building right now. But he is traveling into the West LA area, and the closer he creeps to the 405, the slower traffic is going to get for him.
You know, wondering if he's, I saw quite a few buildings there. I'm wondering what, if he's passed some landmarks or some, like Santa Monica College.
We had, let me see, a couple of the Expo line stations we were going by. He's eastbound on Colorado right now. So as I gaze out the window here, he's still a ways away from the Federal Building and the 405, kind of on some of these smaller streets. This is the residential section of Colorado. As you travel more to the west, it turns into one of the main thoroughfares for Santa Monica, but this section of Colorado is just kind of a small residential street. And it looks like he's going to be turning north now.
Even more of a, this is a residential area. You wonder if so many vehicles there, Pat, behind, police vehicles have got to be because this is a murder suspect, possibly armed, and 2 people. We're talking about 2 people in this truck, the driver being an accessory to the crime.
Oh, I'm sure that's why they have so many vehicles on this particular pursuit right now, which is not, he's not traveling at very high rates of speed, but certainly, you know, we always try to wonder if there's rhyme or reason to where they are going or why they're going in the direction that they're going. He's into some traffic now.
This is Broadway,
Desmond.
It should be.
Is this Broadway?
Yeah, actually, yeah, Broadway and Sentinel, I believe I'm hearing LAPD say. I thought I heard him say Ohio earlier, which is kind of a little bit of a secret route to cross underneath the 405, but I believe he's on Broadway right now. Still in the city limits of Santa Monica, but he will be back in Los Angeles soon as he creeps closer towards the 405 freeway.
Yeah, it's interesting. We talked about this starting just before 5 o'clock. The LAPD picked up this pursuit in the Woodland Hills area, and he has managed to end up in Santa Monica, not directly though. He went towards Chatsworth, I believe, at one time, and then turned around and ended up in Reseda, off of Reseda in Tarzana. Traveled southbound on the 405 to virtually no traffic at all. That's why he made it down to the Santa Monica area as quickly as he did. And he just seems to be driving,
yep, West LA.
You know, I don't know, Desmond, there's not a pattern in particular right now. We could have said that earlier, but right now he just seems to be driving wherever. I'm not sure if he knows exactly where he is or what streets he's going to be on or what his destination is going to be.
We're told it's gone from Santa Monica into West LA. Go ahead, Desmond.
You're right. He is now eastbound on Santa Monica Boulevard here, traveling towards the 405, and this roadway is going to be stopped in just a couple of feet. He's starting to hit it right now. You see, this is very typical for eastbound Santa Monica. All the major thoroughfares that cross the 405 and Sepulveda this time of the afternoon get very heavy. So now driving in the center divider. And but yeah, to answer your question, Pat, it does seem to be pretty aimless at this point. I know sometimes we speculate, we see these suspects stay in neighborhoods that they know, maybe neighborhoods they live, neighborhoods where they have friends that they think may be able to give them a safe harbor, you know, to evade the police. This seems to just be aimless. There, I believe he just crossed Sawtelle and eastbound on Santa Monica Boulevard, getting really close to the 405. Now not afraid at all to get on the wrong side of streets here. He'll be crossing the 405 shortly. It may just be an instance here that this guy is trying to, you know, enjoy the last few minutes of his freedom. Maybe he's making some phone calls to people. If this is a murder suspect, he has to know that the worst is ahead for him. And the LAPD chopper is back overhead. They had to go all the way back through Hollywood to get around this. So we were able to get here before they were. It just turned south on a little surface street here right by the 405. And it looks like he wanted to avoid that gridlock there, eastbound Santa Monica Boulevard, right around the 405.
Like
Murder suspect now traveling southbound on a small surface street here, paralleling the 405. Holmby, this is going to be Holmby Street.
And another residential area, of course, and we have to make note here, too, to our viewing audience that the driver is supposedly a suspect only because he is driving, at least as far as we know, and the murder suspect reportedly is in the passenger side of this vehicle, which is also interesting. You've got two guys, and one willing to be the getaway driver, if you want to call it that, and if we're talking about a murder suspect along with someone else in a truck, that's pretty, you know, you don't see that every day.
Right. Well, remember, police were surveilling this vehicle, so you wonder if the driver even knew at that point in time that he had a murder suspect in the passenger seat. This is something that the police were pursuing. They had surveillance on this vehicle, and then that all began.
If he didn't, he knows.
He knows now, doesn't he?
That's for sure.
He sure does. And so this all began at Woodland Hills, and Pat, you might remember that this is a murder suspect in the passenger seat, as you mentioned. This is a green pickup truck. It appears to be a full-size Dodge Ram pickup truck, maybe possibly a work truck of some sort, as it has that toolbox in the back and quite a bit of debris in the back as well. And continues, Pat, to drive kind of aimlessly. This is going to be now West LA after Santa Monica. So Desmond, what's the latest that you can see from there? It appears that he is kind of slowing down even more.
Purdue Street, I think he said.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we've been zooming out here just to see if he's going to drive into a, you know, essentially a one-way street, or, you know, a street that has one way in or out, because we are right by the 405, and a lot of the surface streets east-west do not go through besides the main thoroughfares like Olympic, Pico, Santa Monica Boulevard, Ohio, but there's a lot of streets where if he takes a wrong turn, he's going to be staring at the sound wall of the 405 freeway. So let's see, actually, as I zoom out here, yeah, he's going to be coming back up, I believe, to Santa Monica Boulevard. So Santa Monica and Corneth and Santa Monica Boulevard, going back west now, back towards the city of Santa Monica, it looks like.
You know, we understand, according, again, to some of our friends here in social media, that 2 canine units have been asked to join in this pursuit. Now, look on the other side of Santa Monica Boulevard there, and you see so much traffic. Again, as we had mentioned, this person has been, I want to say lucky, if that's the right word to use in terms of traffic today. That's for sure.
You know, you make mention of the canine. I would assume that would be if this comes to a stop and those suspects bail and run, that's when the canines would take chase of the suspects. That's pretty common procedure for the police and LAPD in pursuit of this green pickup truck with a murder suspect in the passenger seat and a driver and accessory to the crime at this point in time. We're taking this live here on CBS2. Desmond, you said he's back in West LA and appears to be just kind of going with the flow of traffic now.
Yeah, just kind of putting along here westbound on Santa Monica Boulevard, just crossed Barrington, so he'll be back into the city of Santa Monica pretty soon. And yeah, you know, you were talking about the canines, and they're an incredibly effective way to sometimes diffuse these situations very fast. But, you know, we are talking about a possibly armed suspect here, you know, murder suspect. So that does kind of add a wrinkle, and you have to worry about the safety of the canine. You know, they're highly trained animals. They cost a lot of money to train, and they are considered officers themselves. So, you know, if you have a situation where a suspect kills a canine, it is essentially the same thing as if he killed an LAPD service person.
Okay, well, we don't even want to talk about that right now. We certainly don't want to, but that's the truth. But yeah, we're not quite there at that moment. You know, I've been watching this person. Is he staying on the brakes? Desmond, I keep seeing his rear lights.
I do too. They flicker. I don't know if there's maybe some
or if he's got a hazard.
Yeah.
Hazard lights on or what?
No, I don't think he has. I don't think he has his hazards on. You know, like I said, he's kind of been, you know, hitting the brakes a little bit as he blows through the stop signs. We're just glad, at least at this point, that he hasn't, like I said, gone crazy, pedal to the metal with the accelerator and flying down these streets while he you know, goes through these intersections. So you see them there again, just kind of tapping the brakes as he goes through. That was actually a green light, but that was Centinela he crosses. He's now officially back into the city of Santa Monica, westbound on Santa Monica Boulevard.
What do you think his speeds are? Maybe 20, 25, 30 miles an hour?
Yeah, not very fast. I mean, probably right around the speed limit. I think the speed limit on a lot of these streets is about 35. it looks like that's what he's been, maybe even a little bit slower than that.
You know, you wonder about what else they could be doing at this particular time. You can sit back and say, well, I've seen some spike strip moments that could have happened there. But again, with this person being armed, that would probably make the situation a little different, Desmond.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, you don't just want to put an officer out there with a spike strip if your airship overhead has been seeing, you know, the suspect reaching into his waistband, you know, believed to be armed and dangerous. It's very perplexing. There's no easy way out of this situation for LAPD. You know, maybe at one point they may need to call the SWAT team or something, maybe an armored vehicle. We've seen chases like that before, where when they have a suspect that flashes a gun or something like that, then they can get, you know, the armored vehicles out there, or the guys that have the big, you know, bulletproof shields.
That's
so
right.
yeah, the Bearcats, exactly. So just kind of have to see, but I haven't heard any talk of that yet from LAPD as we continue westbound on Santa Monica through the city of Santa Monica, crossing Cloverfield. Pretty busy intersection. You see a car coming right along there. That guy adjusted perfectly to this guy who just you know, blew right through the red light there. Now crossing 23rd, so we'll be back into the especially populated area of Santa Monica, the most walkable section, where you definitely have a lot of people that will be out here walking around, especially if he goes back around the 3rd Street Promenade. Oh,
that's for sure. And there are some schools in that area as well. You know, it also makes me wonder when we were talking about just the rate of speed he's traveling, and even if he were to stop, that also leads to a very heightened situation, because unless he cooperates, throws his keys out, and even if he throws his keys out, if they suspect this guy is armed, that still makes a very difficult situation for police to resolve.
You know, that was a really good observation, Pat, related to that throwing out the stop strips there, because if you think about it, there's no way for a police officer to defend himself if the passenger in the vehicle has a gun and he's throwing out those spike strips. There's no way for him to return fire if that individual, you know, in the truck.
It's sort of like making yourself a target. That's, you know, you're just going over in your head techniques that LAPD has used or possibly could use, but that certainly would present a danger. Yeah,
it certainly seems like there's a little bit limitations that police have when it comes to somebody like this who's wanted for murder, that they believe is armed, when it comes to, you know, diffusing the situation and how they get this to end, and how you know, they get the canines involved and whatever the case may be. I mean, this is a little bit different now that you have somebody that's wanted for murder, and they were surveilling this pickup truck, and this was in Woodland Hills when this all began. And it's now 6 o'clock. This has been more than an hour now, Pat, that this pursuit has been going on, and it's now in Santa Monica.
You know, putting on psychologically, looking at this, where this guy has just been driving rather slowly, you almost wonder if they know, well, you know, this is going to end at some point.
They've got to know that,
and,
right?
I'm going to, maybe as long as I can, possibly, it's one thing about getting arrested and going to jail than to have something worse happen. And of course, if he was driving much faster and presenting a danger to other people, drivers, and of course the police themselves, then that always presents a heightened situation where, you know, the adrenaline is flowing, and sometimes these people just lose a sense of what could possibly happen, or they don't care and they just drive erratically and present a danger.
Well, you just get a sense that he's trying to figure something out, that he doesn't know exactly what to do. I mean, this is probably something they've never done before, and they're just trying to figure this whole thing out as they're slowly driving through the streets of Santa Monica.
And again, we have been on this pursuit since almost the beginning of the 5 o'clock hour. It started around 4:54, according to our information, where LAPD noticed this vehicle at Victory and Winnetka near Pierce College. And we are about to begin CBS 2 News at 6 o'clock. We will be picking up the 6 o'clock report with this breaking news of a murder suspect and a driver in the Santa Monica area. Police, LAPD, are in pursuit. We have watched this vehicle traverse from the Woodland Hills area to Santa Monica, traveling over the 101 freeway, the 405 freeway, the 10 freeway, miraculously to very little traffic. And here he is in Santa Monica now, where he has been for probably the last 20 minutes or so. Our Desmond Shaw in Sky 2 has been following this vehicle, this pickup truck, since we began our coverage, and we want to go back up to him now for an update, which we've seen him just make some turns, Desmond, and still staying in the Santa Monica area, driving rather slowly or cautiously.
Yes, Pat, we are eastbound on Montana now. That was away from 14th Street where we are now, so I believe this is going to be about 20th Street now at this point. And I do have an update now. I'm hearing that the suspect in the passenger seat, the suspect wanted for murder, the suspect who we believe is armed and dangerous, is on the phone currently with the watch commander of Topanga Division, LAPD. That is the lead agency on this. This is where this pursuit began. It began near the Pierce College area, right around Victory and Winnetka. I'm hearing them once again talking about possibly armed and dangerous and for units to use caution. But it sounds like he is on the phone right now. Unclear what he's telling the watch commander right now, but it sounds like he is in communication with LAPD right now as the driver of the vehicle continues eastbound on Montana through surface streets of Santa Monica.
Whatever he is talking to the commander about, or the commander talking to him, it does, for now, appear to be a very cautious drive on the part of this person behind the wheel. So perhaps they are listening and hearing some information that, you know, you're not going to get away. This is going to end some way or the other, and why not end it with giving yourselves up, because we're going to stay on top of this. And they have been behind this pursuit from the very beginning, which was, of course, close to 5 o'clock. So we've been watching this for about an hour now.
Yeah, and, you know, Pat, the driver of this vehicle has to realize, too, obviously, that, you know, when this is over, he's going to be spending some time in jail as well as an accessory to this alleged murder suspect. As we are eastbound on Montana, yeah, it is unclear what is being, you know, discussed right now between the suspect and the watch commander. I was also hearing LAPD talk more and more about the canine unit, so it does sound like they do plan on getting the canines involved if the situation, you know, presents itself. As I'll zoom out, we'll show you here as we're eastbound on Montana, the various units from LAPD that are in pursuit. It's not clear if one of those is a canine unit that is one of those vehicles that is in tow right now of this late model Dodge pickup truck. Beat up old Dodge, eastbound on Montana, murder suspect headed back towards the 405 freeway.
And, you know, we were talking about even the possibility of this vehicle running out of gas, since it is, you mentioned, beat up and an older model. What would you say in terms of his speed right now, Desmond? He still seems to be going at a rather normal clip.
Yes, definitely a normal clip, I would call it. I mean, even, you know, I would say probably even below the speed limit. I don't think I haven't seen him get above 30 miles an hour here on any of these surface streets. So it is kind of peculiar because, you know, we see a lot of these desperate suspects and we see them fly down some of these streets, sometimes 70, 80 miles an hour on the main thoroughfares to try to escape, and this guy's not doing that. So, you know, what is going on in his head? Is he just trying to buy time? Is he trying to, you know, discuss if he thinks he's going to negotiate something with LAPD? It's not clear at this point, or if he's just enjoying, you know, one last scenic drive around Santa Monica and West LA before, you know, he realizes that he's going to be going away and facing trial for what he's accused of. Yeah,
and at this point we're talking about two people, because that driver, where he may not be the actual murder suspect, he is certainly an accomplice in evading police and being behind the wheel with this murder suspect right next to him. Then again, you know, who knows, Desmond? I don't know. We have not heard information that the driver actually knows this suspect. We really don't know at this point, or we have not heard if the two are actually together, or if this person could have just stopped and jumped in this car and pointed a gun and told him to drive. I know I'm just speculating, obviously, but that is a possible scenario.
Yeah, absolutely, Pat. That is a good point. The driver is completely unknown to us at this point. If this is just a close friend of his, or like you said, you know, an innocent person who's gotten caught up. And I mean, crazier things have happened in these pursuits. That's for sure. Yeah,
that is true. But, you know, to put yourself in a situation, if you're an accomplice or a friend and you are driving this person around, knowing that it is going to end at some point, because LAPD is still behind this vehicle. As we have heard, there are possibly 2 K9 units also following. We've got the airship overhead. So we almost thought at one point with cloud cover that this suspect possibly could have eluded, if you will, law enforcement, certainly our choppers, Desmond, you couldn't fly through the cloud cover, but as we see, no, that's not the case. They are still on top of this. They know where he is. They're right behind him. So whatever time the airship lost, they still have the units behind this vehicle, who is now, or I should say still in Santa Monica. Do we have an exact location, Desmond?
Yeah, this is southbound. I believe they said Granger Street, I believe, away from Montana, so going away from the golf course there and kind of paralleling the 405 freeway. And you're right, I mean, traffic was definitely on his side, Pat, as he came away from Sherman Oaks and southbound on the 405. He certainly had the chance to open it up, go underneath the clouds, and get a head start on the LAPD chopper, which, like us, had to go around. But that was not the case. We didn't even see him speeding on the freeway. If anything, he was going below the speed limit as he had that magical, lack of traffic on his side.
He's slowing quite a bit.
It just kind of. He is, and we are. Let me see if I can get a surface street for you here. And yeah, he's eastbound Mayfield. Eastbound Mayfield, making another southbound on Bundy now. So a street that, as he gets to the south, turns back into a pretty major street through West LA.
Yeah, we can see on the other side of him, Desmond, how traffic is really lined up. Can you pull out a bit so we can see what's ahead of him? He's got a pretty clear path right now, it looks like.
Yeah, he does, as he makes his way back down to, I believe it's going to be Santa Monica Boulevard again. And I can't tell you how many times I've been stuck southbound on Bundy back when I was a delivery driver, and it's just so frustrating. And then it's just I don't it's just so strange how lucky these guys get with the pursuit traffic. As I believe he's now going into this shopping center. Let us try to get around this building in a Ralph shopping center. Going to go over the top of this building here. Let's see what he does. Obviously, a lot of people out here right now, driving right near the front entrance where a lot of people are walking out with their groceries.
I wonder if he would try to do something. It almost looks like he wants to stop, Desmond. But even if they tried to, wow, look at this person. Even if they tried to get out of that vehicle, the police are right behind. We have seen people driving to shopping
he's
center.
At a complete stop, and these people have absolutely no idea what's going on.
That's a Ralph's store right there, it looks like.
Incredibly dangerous. Of course, we all know about the Trader Joe's, the pursuit that led to that tragic incident at the Trader Joe's just about a month ago in Silver Lake. And here we go, LAPD out, guns drawn. That is lethal force. Those are not beanbag guns. Those are rifles that they have out, guns drawn. The suspect has come to a stop here, and look at, you can see an innocent bystander right up ahead. This guy has no idea that he's only about 15 feet away from a murder suspect in this vehicle. So hopefully they can get some staff out here and rush people into and out of the store.
Driver's side is opening.
Doors
Desmond.
opening. Yep. Let's hope that
Hands
this is the
up.
driver coming out.
Okay, now that's the driver. So, but remember, our viewing audience, the purported murder suspect is in the passenger side. Haven't seen any movement there yet, but this driver looks like he is complying so far with police.
So far, it looks like this guy has had enough and doesn't, want to spend any more time in jail than he's already going to.
And again, as you mentioned, guns drawn, but the passenger side of this pickup truck, that door is not open yet, and that is where that murder suspect apparently is.
Yeah,
so
and you see the canine. You see the canine right there, ready to respond if anything goes south here. He is ready to do his job if necessary. And hopefully the barking dog will persuade the suspect, the one who is really wanted here, to surrender very quickly as well. Sometimes all it takes is a little motivation of realizing that there is a dog who is trained to rip your skin off.
Okay, doors opening.
They will surrender in there, and here we go. Now the door's opening here. This is the person that LAPD has been wanting all along, the murder suspect, and he's got, I don't know if that's a cell phone. I thought I saw something in his hand. It looks
that's not smart.
Like it's a cell phone. It's a cell phone.
Yeah, he's putting
and
it down.
Setting it down. It was kind of tense there. It was hard to see for a moment what that was in his hand at first, but it was indeed a cell phone.
And it's good that they noticed that.
It looks like, yes, absolutely.
Well, you mentioned he had been on the phone with the watch commander, for quite some time.
Right, yes.
So now he is confined.
And it will be interesting we'll learn what they were talking about later, but it does look like they've had it, and, perhaps, as I was saying, if this guy was just, who knows, if he was trying to call some loved ones, say, I'll see you later or whatever, his last moments of freedom here before peacefully surrendering to LAPD. So it does look like this tense situation inside of Ralph's parking lot off of Bundy Drive in West LA is coming to an end. LAPD coming into the truck just to clear the truck, just to make sure there wasn't somebody else inside the vehicle. You got the code 4 there. It looks like this is going to be a official conclusion here. They just need to put the handcuffs on these guys.
Yeah, we can't call it
in the back of the moment.
Can't call it code 4 yet because they don't have them in handcuffs. But they are approaching.
Right, but here.
Notice they are approaching that murder suspect first.
Right.
And they do have him in handcuffs.
Yeah.
It's interesting, Desmond.
So, it was, go ahead, Pat.
I was going to say, so many officers, they could have handcuffed the driver right away as well, but they didn't do that. Now they seem to be.
Yeah, they obviously, obviously they want to prioritize, the main suspect first, and then, but, it turns out it was the correct move for LAPD to just kind of wait this one out. It seemed like maybe they suspected, that they could tell by the way that this guy was driving. He wasn't driving like a complete maniac. They kind of just waited for him to stop. They didn't want to put officers in harm's way with spike strips or with a pit maneuver, but it has come to a conclusion here peacefully. Suspects surrendering on their own volition here in West Los Angeles inside of a Ralph's grocery parking lot.
All right, Desmond, yeah, we'll call that a code 4, and we thank you very much for your coverage. We've been on this since 5 o'clock, just after 5 o'clock, but we know that's when it began in the Woodland Hills area. Ended up here in Brentwood, where you see this so-called murder suspect and a driver have been taken into custody, and we did not see any incidents on the road as far as any injuries or harm to police officers or residents, which is a good thing. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more news. Stay with us.
Coming up, a tough day of questioning for President Trump's Supreme Court nominee as protesters interrupt the hearing. Plus, he's part of the greatest generation. See how his words of wisdom are embraced by a new generation. Coming up on the CBS Evening News with Jeff Glor.
We can double your closet space, turn your office and garage into a